So close, but yet so far. Wolves 2, Watford 3. I've just arrived back home now after, all in all, what's been a nice day. To come so close to an FA Cup final is just, it's gut-wrenching. It's very difficult to come to terms with it, having played so well for a large period of that game, and then just one mistake at the very end of the 90 minutes from Dendoncker costing us a penalty. I think there's no doubt that it was a penalty. Difficult, really difficult to put into words the game itself. I think Wolves played quite well. I think, as Tim Spears has said in his video, obviously I've watched everything on the way back now, Tim Spears said that there was no villains today. There was nobody that didn't turn up. In fact, I think there was, you could argue that at points it was one of our best performances of the season. I think defensively, for long periods, we looked great. Bolly, I think, had his best game in a Wolves shirt. Johnny played really well. Doherty was superb and took his goal very well. And it just felt like it was going to be our day for a long time. And especially when you go 2-0 up in a game like that as well. We've seen Wolves so often just see games out and manage games really well. I think Nuno has to take some of the blame for what happened in the last 20 minutes, or last 10 minutes, really. Some of the substitutions really were a little odd. Neves and Jota both being brought off in that period. Jota, by far and away, had his best game in a Wolves shirt today. He looked so dangerous every time that he had the ball. Looked strong running at the Watford defence. Was threatening them every single time that he had the ball. And it was a strange substitution to make, because I think even at 2-0, it felt like it wasn't secure. Because if a goal for Watford would have, which they did get, would have opened the game back up again and given them a chance. So it was very difficult to, I wouldn't have taken Jota off personally at that point, and I wouldn't have taken Neves off either. And then the substitutions that did come on, particularly Cavaliero and Traore, I've spoken a long time about them this season. And Cavaliero, I don't think I can ever forgive him really for the way that, it's been frustrating watching him all season, that stupid roll over the ball with his studs. We've seen him so often. Yeah, it came off against Shrewsbury and it came off against Reading last year, but in an FA Cup semi-final, once you've gone round the goalkeeper, just put the ball in the net, just hit it. Very frustrating moment that was. And that was the last chance, really. We weren't able to make anything happen. I think we were quite lucky in the end to only lose by 1 goal. The breaks that Watford had near the end of the game, and of course we were going hell for leather for it. But all that being said, if you look at today as an occasion, I think that we've shown ourselves as a fan base to be that we're a massive fan base. The atmosphere on Wembley Way, I thought, was really good. And it felt as if it felt a bit like what I imagine heaven is like, because walking around the stadium beforehand, I was bumping into people who I hadn't seen for years and years, people I played cricket with, people I went to school with, people I work with now. It was odd, really odd, and doing something that I love and something that I've waited so long to do, and then going, I spoke to WM as well. Really odd day, and really a day I'll remember for a long time, and a day that, yes, it didn't go our way, and yes, in hindsight, there's lots of things that I would change about the day, and I think Nuno probably would as well. But I think this is the start. I think I put something on Instagram and Facebook last night that today was my 80th game since moving back to the Midlands, and considering the journey that Wolves have been on in that time has been quite spectacular, really. And it's all down to Nuno and his team and the players. But I think the cutthroat nature and the ruthlessness of Fosun and of Nuno and of Wolves now, there's going to be a lot of those players who I think we see move on in the summer. Cavaliero and Costa, Traore possibly as well. I know that we've paid a lot of money for him very recently. But also, like Connor Cody, I know he's been superb, but the fact that he's had to play every minute more or less of the last 2 seasons in every competition just shows the lack of depth that we really have in the squad. And yes, an 18-man squad, a small squad like that, is very, very good in some aspects, but then to not have the depth needed at some points has cost us, because that last goal from De La Feo, the third goal, Cody was just lacking that 1 yard of pace. I've seen people criticising John Ruddy as well for the first and the third goal. Obviously, couldn't do anything about the penalty. I don't know. I think he could have done a bit better with the third one. This first one, I think, was actually a good goal. Just a word on Jimenez as well. A great goal, a great Wembley goal, and deserved to win the game with that goal. But yeah, I think I'll do another video in the week on this, because once the dust has settled a little bit more, and I think we're all a bit dejected at the moment. I've never seen a Wolves fan base be so dejected at the end of a game, at the end of 90 minutes, and we'd lost it at that point. I felt it was very difficult to get motivated again for it, because we'd already won the game. It's very similar, I felt, to the World Cup final in 1966. We'd already won the game, conceding that late goal. We had to go and win it again, and we'd taken off our star players. And Moutinho was on his back, you know, and at that point he was dead on his feet. Very, very disappointed, but also very proud, and looking forward to the next 6 games of the season. And let's try and finish 7th. Let's try and let's hope Man City win the FA Cup so we can play in Europe next year. But it's been a fantastic season. It feels like the end of the season. It feels like today's really the end. But we'll have to lift ourselves up and try and go again next week at Southampton away, where I'll be. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you everybody as well for all the comments and all the shares and all the likes on the Buzzing A the Word video. It's been really, really fantastic, the support that video's got and the song has got. I know that my dad would like to pass on his thanks as well. He wrote the song, and he enjoyed it. I think he was starting to pen a song about the semi-final on the way back. Something about, I was happy in the haze of a 2-0 lead, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for all your support through this FA Cup run. And hopefully we'll see you again at this stage, if not a little bit later next year. Thanks. Bye-bye.